You're watching a Highwire Media podcast.
Welcome to the Big D Breakdown. As always, I'm your host, Larry Lease. In today's episode, we're diving into all the latest off-season news surrounding your Dallas Cowboys. Before we do that, give us your thoughts on all the topics we've covered in the comments section below, and let's keep the conversation going. And to throw out a quick question for you for the comments, what do you think the Cowboys record will be next season? You can see the schedule right there on that little ticker. Let me know. And with that, let's dive right into the first topic. So the final wide receiver spot has come down to 5 names fighting for that one job. This wide receiver battle deserves more attention than it's getting, which is why we're going to talk about it. A lot of the discourse stemming from Dallas Cowboys training camp will revolve around running back position, and rightfully so. But the battle at wide receiver should not be discounted. It is admittedly easy to gloss over the receiver, since most of the spots are already set in stone. Barring a shocking turn of events, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jalen Tolbert, Cavante Turbin, and Jonathan Mingo will make up the first 5 spots. Before you ask, yes, Mingo should be a roster lock. The Cowboys gave up a 4th-round pick for him at last year's trade deadline. If that is the case, and assuming 6 wideouts are kept, we could be talking about as many as 5 hopefuls fighting for one job. Jalen Brooks, Ryan Flournoy, Jalen Cropper, Parris Campbell, and Kelvin Harmon. So, Cowboys could be forced to cut a lot of promising receivers this preseason. Drafted in 2019, Campbell has the most experience of that group, but he is now 3 years removed from a breakout year with the Colts, when he caught 63 passes for 629 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's managed just 134 receiving yards the last 2 seasons with the Giants and Eagles. The Cowboys love to develop their young players, so Campbell would need a special camp in preseason to make the 53-man roster. Still, his experience shouldn't be ignored. Brooks and Flournoy should be the favorites, given they both made the team last year. Dallas invested draft picks in both of them, too. Their production was eerily similar in 2024, so there seemingly isn't much separating them entering camp. While Brooks is more of a downfield threat, Flournoy's size makes him unique to the other receivers on the roster. Whether Flournoy plays to his size and overwhelms Dallas' smaller cornerbacks is a storyline to watch in Oxnard. If he does, he'll be in pole position to make the team. That brings us to Cropper and Harmon, the former of whom was back stealing the show during off-season workouts. That has been a common theme the last few years. However, Cropper has struggled to carry that momentum in the preseason. If he puts it all together, he could find himself on a 53-man roster when all is said and done. Harmon probably has the longest odds of the group. He last played an NFL snap in 2019 and has bounced around various practice squads since then. For what it's worth, the 28-year-old has a lot of impressive reps in camp last year. Fans should expect more of the same this summer. Other positions have more clarity than receiver, but 5 players fighting for one spot, that's going to be fascinating to watch unfold. So there's a failed Cowboys experiment that might not make it out of Commanders training camp, and making Dan Quinn regret reuniting with this former Cowboy. Several former Dallas Cowboys have reunited with Dan Quinn on the Washington Commanders, but I'm going to butcher his last name, so I'm just going to call him the cornerback Noah, was easily the most surprising of the bunch. For what it's worth, he and Dallas acquired in a trade with the Dolphins in 2023, actually played well for Quinn last season. However, Quinn and the front office made it a point to revamp the secondary this offseason, and he could become collateral damage, according to Dean Jones of Rigo's Rag. He started a career-high 10 games for the Commanders last season and played 76% of the defensive snaps. He allowed just a 60.8 completion rate on a whopping 75 targets, racked up 7 passes defended, and allowed an 89.6 passer rating when targeted. That is night and day compared to what Dallas got out of him in 2023, though the bar admittedly wasn't set very high. First-round pick of the Dolphins in 2020, he played just 25 defensive snaps the entire season. which is surprising considering Quinn was still running the show. He played more on special teams, but even then, his 77 snaps ranked 27th on the team. What is so ironic about his short-lived Cowboys tenure is that he delivered one of the most memorable moments of the 2023 season in Week 1 when he returned a blocked Giants field 58 yards to the house. It was Dallas' first touchdown of the campaign as they went on to rout New York 40-0 in a statement win. The Cowboys re-signed him to a one-year, $1.17 million deal in March. They can move on without breaking a sweat, and that seems to be in the cards after they spent significant resources to upgrade the quarterback room. We haven't even reached training camp, but the Cowboys rookie already has one foot out the door. The Cowboys need help, but probably not from this draft pick. The Dallas Cowboys made a total of 9 picks in the 2025 draft. While the early reviews are positive, it would be silly to expect all 9 players to make the roster. Dallas is the epitome of a draft and develop team. Keeping every pick would mean over 16% of the roster is made up of rookies, and that doesn't account for 1 or 2 undrafted free agents potentially making the team. Unfortunately, the odd man out this year might be 7th round defensive tackle, another name I'm going to butcher, so we'll just call him Tommy A. The Maryland product did not make the cut in Joe Machado's Cowboys 53-man roster projection for The Athletic. Joe has the Cowboys keeping 10 defensive linemen, 6 defensive ends, and 4 interior defenders. The 4 DTs are Osa, Solomon, Mozzie, and rookie Jay, who saw a lot of burn with the first-team defense in offseason workouts. The irony in this is that defensive tackle is arguably the weakest position on the roster. Cornerback probably takes the cake due to injuries, but there are serious questions behind Odoizzi, who handled a preposterous workload last season. Let's not forget the Cowboys cut 2024 7th-round pick Justin Rogers, also a DT, before he ever played a snap. I cannot talk right now. They also sent 2023 draft pick Viliami Fehoko and Eric Scott Jr. packing last summer before their second seasons with the team. None of this means this pick is a lock to get cut. The Cowboys could certainly cut Turner, a former first-round pick of the Saints. Turner has struggled with injuries early in his career and has 5 sacks in 4 seasons. He only got $1.4 million guaranteed, so Dallas could move on without breaking a sweat. However, defensive end is a premium position, and this pick simply isn't ready yet. He has the traits and potential, but can the Cowboys afford to carry dead weight, for a lack of a better term, on the 53? Probably not. Maybe he shocks the world and shines in training camp, but he feels like someone that would benefit from spending a year on the practice squad. And now, of course, we got to talk George Pickens. He throws a not-so-subtle punch at the Steelers in a Dolphins trade fallout. Perhaps George Pickens' promise to only look forward will start next week. Back on May 7th, the Dallas Cowboys made what turned out to be one of the biggest moves of the NFL offseason, engaging in a trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers to acquire wide receiver George Pickens. It's undoubtedly one of the more aggressive moves Jones has made in recent years, but also one that made sense. America's team has desperately needed a genuine number 2 receiver to pair with CeeDee Lamb for quite some time now, and Pickens should fill that void nicely. Yes, he's had his fair share of problems, but the fact that he's in his final year of his rookie contract means the 24-year-old really has no choice but to be on his best behavior. Now, since Pickens has joined America's team, he's been adamant about only moving forward and not looking back on his time in the Steel City. But perhaps he's taking a pause on that promise, as he seemingly took a little dig at his former team after the Steelers dealt safety Micah Fitzpatrick to the Dolphins as part of a trade that sent cornerback Jalen Ramsey and tight end Jonnu Smith to Pittsburgh. Tagging Fitzpatrick in an Instagram story, Pickens wrote, Super happy for you, broski. Back to beautiful places in life. Cowboys receiver Pickens is definitely happy to be out of Pittsburgh. But not so subtle, is it? But solidity has never really been Pickens' style, has it? The Georgia alum has long been a bit of a hothead, and that dates back to his days with the Bulldogs. Truth be told, it could be argued that the most memorable highlight of his college career was fight with Georgia Tech cornerback Trey Swilling, whom he attempted to throw into a wall at the back of the end zone after their scuffle escalated. Then, of course, there were all the ridiculous penalties he amassed during his 3-year run with Steelers. A list of infractions that included unnecessary roughness for things like illegal blindside blocks and grabbing face masks, unsportsmanlike conduct flags for taunting and violent gestures, writing profane messages on its eye black against Dallas, and even getting into it with fans on the sidelines. And let's not forget Pickens' not-so-subtle complaints about how he was used at times in the Pittsburgh passing game. Just to be clear, we're completely aware that Pickens' little dig at the Steelers regarding the Fitzpatrick trade probably doesn't need to be taken too seriously. But big problems start with the little things, and Cowboy fans have been hoping that their new wideout is genuinely serious about looking ahead and not backward towards his time in Pittsburgh, especially with training camp right around the corner. The Cowboys fans just got warned about a brutal running back logjam that nobody wants to see. The 53-man roster might have just gotten more complicated. The Dallas Cowboys had a serious identity crisis at the running back position for the entire 2024 season, with Ezekiel Elliott not being the same explosive guy as he once was, a season-ending injury to Zach Martin and Rico Dowdle not being used properly. Jerry Jones didn't waste any time putting more bodies in his running back unit. The Cowboys decided to let Rico walk and brought in veterans Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams, while Jaden Blue and Phil Mafaw were drafted to add more youth to the backfield. Fullback Hunter Lupke still has a valuable spot on the team as a run and pass blocker. There are only so many spots on the 53-man roster, and the Athletic envisions Dallas having a cluttered unit when all is said and done. None of the running backs really stand out from one another. The hope is Blue will eventually assert himself as the alpha, but that is definitely going to take some time. Regardless, it would be unlike the Cowboys to draft Blue and Maffa, and if they didn't envision them making the roster. Sanders has arguably been the most impressive running back since offseason workouts started. He is clearly playing with a chip on his shoulder after a poor Panthers tenure. Williams is coming off of his own down year with the Broncos, but he's only 25 years old and now 3 years removed from his knee injury. Joining a high-powered passing offense and offensive coordinator Clayton Adams' exotic running schemes could help Williams unlock his potential. Still, having 5 running backs on the roster with no clear-cut alpha is completely overkill. Last season's backfield was arguably the worst in the NFL, thanks to the Jones refusing to table their Ezekiel Elliott loyalty. It was clear in training camp that Rico was the best runner on the team. Now with a crowded unit, this will be a busy summer for Schottenheimer and new running back coach Derek Foster, as he will have the best eye on who should be getting the more consistent reps going forward. And with that, let me know your thoughts on all of the topics we've covered today in the comment section below. And if you want to support the channel, you can scan the QR code right there, or just go to buymeacoffee.com/thebigd. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. We will see you next time.